Hello and welcome to this podcast, Little Girls Aren't Taught This. I am your host, Self-Love Lydia, and this is a self-love podcast unlike no other. Within this podcast, we will go into all of the things that we should have been taught as little girls that would have helped us feel empowered, connected, and just unapologetic as we grew into women. I am the queen of these transformations. I am on a mission to impact women around the world with self-love, and I am here to teach you how to be unapologetic and just step into your power. I hope you enjoy the podcast. Hello you guys, and welcome to this week's episode of the podcast. I am currently sitting here with a nice glass of red. I have just made the most incredible tea, and this podcast episode was inspired by an email that I sent on Monday, and I did record a different podcast episode to come out for today, but I just felt really called to come on and share this podcast. And I feel like this is a little bit controversial, what I am going to talk about, because obviously I am a coach and I have spoken about manifestation before, and you know, a lot of people speak about manifestation, so I think it may trigger a few people, but you know, my intention is just to even provide a thought to go away and think about. And if you are somebody who talks about manifestation, or you listen to this and you are a coach who talks about manifestation, incredible, because if you believe in it and you love it, like, I want you to share your light, but also I just want to plant a seed in your head that may make you think a little bit, and maybe make you think on your thoughts around manifestation and the culture that we're living in. So that's my intention with this podcast episode, and basically just to share something I've been thinking about now for the past few months. And I've not spoken about it anywhere, but it's just something that I have been observing on social media. It's something that I have been thinking about in relation to my own experiences, and especially going into the new year and seeing obviously the hype of the goal setting, new year, new me, and you know, setting manifestations and all of this kind of stuff. I just got really observant of the space on social media, and this is just basically me sharing like a little journal entry about how I've been thinking about manifestation recently. So you may have seen from the title, The Toxic Side of Manifestation Culture. First thing I want to say is I have spoke about manifestation. You know, I have manifested things in my life. So this is not a podcast to say that I don't believe in it or that it's, you know, a load of shit. It's basically to say there's a different side of the coin that I have started seeing, and you know, it's something that I can no longer ignore. And I also know that it's something that I am going to work on in terms of like my messaging and even how I'm being with myself. So I sent an email on Monday, and basically I spoke about this. So if you are in my mailing list, you may have seen this email. But I've been uncomfortable with the notion of everything in your life you manifest, good and bad. So recently what I've been noticing, or over the past few months, as really as like the manifestation culture is amplified on Instagram and TikTok and all of these things, something that I keep seeing repeatedly is this notion that everything that you manifest is a direct result of you. Now, this has sat a little bit uncomfortable with me when I was working with trauma, because I've actually had somebody who's experienced sexual trauma turn around to me and say, Lydia, did I manifest what happened to me? And I nearly fell off my chair. And I was like, no, why do you think that? And she said, because I've heard a coach say online that everything that I attract in my life, or everything that we experience in some way, shape or form, we manifest that. And she was like, can you help me see how I manifested what happened to me? And that was really heavy for me to listen to, because, you know, I'm working with a woman who's experienced something that she had absolutely no control over, and it has flipped her whole life upside down. And she thinks that she in some way, shape or form was responsible for this. And I think as coaches, we have a certain level of accountability to, so I'm a self-love coach, but even a business coach, I think we have a certain level of accountability to think beyond the scope of the women we think we're talking to. So a business coach, for example, you're not just speaking to women about business. Like, these women could have trauma. These women could have experienced really, really difficult things. These women could be in a period of their life where there's a lot of chaos going on. And that's just my intention, to just bring that into the consciousness and be a little bit mindful of, you know, if I'm speaking about manifestation and I'm saying everything in your life, good and bad, that you attract is a result of you, as a result of your thought, just expand that a little bit out of the business realm. So I just really feel uncomfortable because I think there's a lot of messaging going around, and it's like, oh yeah, your business is failing, yeah, you've manifested it. You're feeling shit, yeah, you've manifested it. Yeah, you didn't get your goals, yeah, you didn't manifest hard enough, you thought, you need to look at you. And basically what happens is failing to manifest your dream life can be perceived as a personal failing. And that's, for me, where it feels toxic. It feels like actually there is people going out every single day and working hard towards their goals, and things are happening that they have no control over. You know, somebody getting ill, somebody not getting their goals, somebody getting sacked from a job, somebody's relationship ending. If things aren't going to plan, you did not manifest that. Like, and I want to unpack what I mean in this episode, because there is certain things that I do believe around thought processes and being aware of our own thoughts and energies and all of those things. But the way now I'm seeing manifestation being branded, it's that black and white. And for me, I'm not happy with that, because I don't like that notion of failing to get the things that you're manifesting is actually means that you're failing in your life. And I think that's where it feels toxic, and it just feels like quite a bullshit like fucked up viewpoint, in my opinion. So what is manifestation? Like, if you don't know what it is, and I think what's really important, I was speaking to one of my friends about this when we went on a walk, and she has been spiritual for many years. She has known about manifestation for many years. She's done yoga teacher training in India, so she is very wise in this space. Basically, she's very wise, and we were talking about it. And basically what's happening is the spiritual meaning of manifestation has took on this whole new entity. It feels like, for me, it's become a buzzword on social media, and it's being shaped into something else that it may not actually be. So I just got a quote from a spiritual teacher, Dr. Noor, and it says, spiritual manifestation is when you're flowing, not forcing. It's different from goal setting, because it's like you're co-creating with the universe. Whatever it is you're actualizing is an extension of your light. It is not something outside of you. Once you feel worthy of the thing, you ascend to that level of consciousness and receive it. In this way, you maintain your power rather than feeling powerless to the thing. Promotion, new house, car, romance. The focus isn't on the paycheck, the shoes, the house. The focus is on your growth and who you become in the process of actualizing all that you are manifesting. So that, for me, feels beautiful. Like, the focus isn't on the thing. The focus is on the growth and who you become in the process of actualizing everything it is that you want to manifest. And it's like this co-creation, and it's all around surrender. And that really feels like, when I've done my research on manifestation for this episode, like through the week and before I wrote the email, the roots of manifestation for me really, really feel like it's this process of growth, and it's this process of elevating yourself to this next level. So you're like going up in terms of you're getting closer to yourself actualizing, you're getting closer to having your needs met, like your human needs met. And as a result of that, you will begin to attract all of these other things within your life, but that's not the focus of what manifestation is. That's kind of how I got it when I was doing the research. So the thing that seems also a little bit icky is privilege. Privilege is a big thing, and I think seeing the culture of manifestation that's coming about now, and also the shit show that we've had over 2 years, you know, privilege is something that comes into it. Like, I know for me, it's easier for me to go and get my goals because I'm not a mum. I have the free time. You know, I'm no longer in that space where I'm hustling in that 9 to 5 job and then trying to make my dreams work at the same time and trying to make my goals work. I know that I got to this point. I was fortunate enough before we hit a global pandemic and everything was more difficult. So I appreciate my privilege, and I see that privilege. And, you know, often I sometimes think I am lucky that I can get up in the morning, spend half an hour to 40 minutes doing my morning routine. And I think that's something that feels a little bit missing, is the point of privilege, with when people are talking about manifestation. But what about the people who are working really hard towards their goals and it's not working out? And what about people who are losing their job? And what about women who have experienced trauma, or people who have lost people? What about those people if they're hearing this notion that everything we manifest in our life is we are a result of that, regardless if it's good or bad? And, you know, in the books that I've read, I remember, and I've read a lot of these books where it's like, don't even think negative thoughts, because if you think negative thoughts, then you are telling the universe that you want it to happen. And that just makes me feel uncomfortable, because we are humans, and I do not care what anybody is preaching on the internet. They have negative thoughts. They have moments of self-doubt. They have moments of fear. And like, I always think that around people who on these body positive accounts, and they're like, no, I don't have those mean thoughts about my body anymore. I'm like, you're full of bullshit, unless you've completely disconnected from the human side of yourself and your actual thoughts and your brain and all your experiences. Like, yes, you do have negative thoughts, like we all do. We can't go through life without them. So that for me is where I feel uncomfortable. This implication that one's life situation is down to us. So everything in our lives that is happening right now is a result of us. And then that kind of flips that flips it, doesn't it, back to you. You begin to look at yourself. You begin to look at how much of a failure you are. You begin to look at the things that you're not achieving. You begin to look at the ways that you're not showing up for yourself. You begin to compare why other people can manifest and you can't manifest. You begin to feel like it's not worth you going for your dreams, because it's always about what commitment are you making. And just to give a little bit of a backstory of what made me begin to think like this, I've had my own experiences where I've manifested things. Last year, I manifested a lot of things, or I put a lot of big goals down in terms of business. I made an investment that was a lot of money. It come from a space of feeling really good. It come from a space of believing in myself. And I fully showed up to that process. And guess what? It went so fucking wrong. I lost a lot of money. I didn't get the results I expected. And the message that I was continuing to hear is, what are you doing? You're not manifesting hard enough. You're not in alignment with the things that you want. You need to go away and meditate on that. You need to go away and journal on that a little bit more. And what happened is I became paralyzed with fear and consumed with doubt, because I thought, it's not possible. Why is it working for other people and it's not working for me? And I don't feel as any kind of way about that experience now. I processed it, I've been through it. I'm actually super grateful that it happened, because I learned so much about business. I learned so much about myself in that process. And, there's a quote that stands out for me, and it's like, failure is the tuition we pay for the things that we don't know. And that was the tuition that I had to pay to learn all of those lessons, and I'm okay with that. But the thing I remember thinking is like, fuck, I've manifested this. So half of me was stuck in the fear and the doubt, and then the other half was, I've manifested this, I've done it wrong, I'm not capable, what am I doing that's bringing the tough situation after tough situation in my life? When I had my when I had my situation with my health and my one boob, I remember just being on social media and constantly seeing these messages around everything that comes into your life, you're manifesting, and this and that. And then I got the infection. And I remember thinking to myself, have I caused this to happen? Because I sat down with the surgeon and we went through the risks that could happen in the operation. And then I went home and discussed that with Luke about the potential risks. Have I manifested that? And these are the seeds that are being planted, where upon reflection, I've thought, that's actually not good. That's actually really not healthy for me to be thinking that, because I had a conversation with my boyfriend. I've manifested getting an infection. I've manifested that worst case scenario. I've manifested all of the struggles that I had last year. And the reality is that I didn't manifest that. I genuinely in my heart believed it was the right move, and I tried, but it didn't work out, and that's fine. And I wanted to write this, I wanted to do this podcast episode, and I also put in the email that I wanted to write the email for the people who may have had a tough time and blame themselves. If you're listening to this and you've lost somebody, or you struggled through COVID, or you've tried and it's not worked out, and you're committing to, rewriting those thoughts every single day, and you're doing the things that you think you should be doing to bring that goal into your life, and it's just not quite coming in, or it's not working out, or something's happened that's out of your control, it's not your fault. Life just happens. It does not mean that you've manifested it. It's not a direct result of that situation. It's through a fault of your own. It's not a personal failing if something doesn't happen. Yes, we may perceive it as failing, but there's a difference being comfortable and sitting with a sense of, I tried and it didn't work out, to actually internalizing that failure because you manifested a big goal and you wrote it down and it didn't happen. There's a difference between that. Now, don't get me wrong, I believe in manifesting to an extent. So I'm not sitting here going, I don't believe in any of this stuff and I don't believe in law of attraction, because I very much do. But actually what I'm now doing is learning about the laws of the universe and just implementing those into my day, implementing learning about these things into the reprogramming of my mind every single day. I believe in manifesting, but I think it's more about mindset, faith and commitment, but that does not guarantee success or reaching the things that we want. And that for me is the difference. So I believe that your mindset is key to achieving the things that you want. I believe that having faith and just thinking, just because it's not happened, just because it's not here in physical form, does not mean it won't happen. So tapping into that faith every day and that commitment is key. Last year, I learned so much about committing to the process and just keeping the faith, even when not everything around me was crumbling. So I believe that those three things are the fundamentals to create change in our life. However, that does not guarantee success or reaching the things that we want. And I think that is also another toxic notion that's not coming in to this whole manifestation culture. Just because people are doing the things, it does not guarantee that they will get the results. It does not mean they showed up any less. It does not mean that they tried any any less harder than anybody else. It's just life. It literally is life. And something that I always hear in the business world, in the coaching business world, is go first and you'll reap the rewards. Play big, manifest your vision and work hard. Well, I'll tell you what, I done all of those things and it didn't fucking work out. It literally did not work out. And you know, I'm not now sitting here going, oh, I don't believe in manifestation because it didn't work out for me, because I still very much believe in this notion of law of attraction, working with the universe, you know, believing in things. Like, you guys all know, like, I talk about the day that I'm going to have a book. I talk about the day that I'm going to do a TED Talk, and I go into bookstores and I know that I'm going to achieve that. Like, I know I am going to be a best-selling author of a book. That for me is like, it's something that's a done deal. However, it doesn't always guarantee that the things that we want, we get. And I just think it's a little bit hard on people who are seeing these types of messages and knowing how to work with that, or truly understanding what manifestation means for them, truly understanding how not to internalize anything that doesn't happen. So the key to manifesting is surrender. Again, same doctor that is saying this, Dr. Noor. It works best when you're completely unattached to the outcome. So I want this, but I'm fine if I don't get it. Most people that want something start to obsess over it and kind of give their power away to it, which is inevitably pushing the thing further away from them. And Michelle Stans, who is a manifestology coach and the author of 7 Steps to Manifesting Your Dream Life, said, you must remember the universe is not Santa Claus. It's not that you make a list and poof, things appear in your stocking. We call it co-creation for a reason. We are working together with the universe and you need to do your part. And I think it's kind of just like that. Like, when people are doing the part, I just want it to be like an awareness, I think, of people are doing their part, some people, and it just doesn't happen, and that's okay. So I think it's why I didn't set huge goals going into the year. And, you know, if you listen to the last podcast that I done, you'll understand why. I just wanted to focus on myself. I wanted to focus on my habits, being connected and inspired, which I know will take me on the path that I'm destined to go. Subconsciously and consciously, I'm working towards a better quality of life, because I do think taking responsibility for your life is a form of self-respect, because when you feel as though you're working on improving your quality of life in whatever way you can, you do truly feel like you have some control over what direction your life is going in. But, you know, sometimes life brings moments of hardship and struggle. It's part of the journey, but I just want you to know that you didn't manifest it. So that's my main point, I think, with this podcast, is that I feel like the statement of everything good and bad you manifest. And I know for me last year, when things were starting to take a turn in the investment that I had made, that notion of it's you need to do this, you need to look at that, you need to go away and do this, you're not aligned, it definitely made me feel worse. Like, it really began to impact my mental health. And I just don't think something that's so beautifully, just something that we do that comes from such a beautiful meaning, should have that impact on people. I just feel like that's where we've lost it a little bit, and that's where it does become a little bit toxic, because it's like we just step out of privilege, or we step out of the fact that we are in a fucking pandemic, or we step out of life, the fact that life can just throw us a curveball. We step out of those things a little bit, and we just come from a space of like, your thoughts are the things that are attracting everything, but my thoughts didn't attract what happened. You know, my clients' thoughts didn't attract their trauma. And that's just a viewpoint, I think. So my final thought is, write down your goals, say them to the universe, visualize them and manifest them if that helps you. I will continue to do all of those things because, like I said before, faith, commitment, and mindset are the fundamentals. Work hard and make the commitment for yourself. So if it doesn't work out, at least you can look at yourself in the mirror and say you tried. You'll have wisdom and lessons to take forward. And that is what I got from last year. So when I got over that internalization of things not working out, I actually looked at myself in the mirror and I was like, you know what, we tried. You just dust yourself off and you go again. But you know what, Lydia? You just strip it right back to fucking basics. Like, you just come back into yourself because you know what you're doing and you have all of these lessons to take forward with you now. Lessons that are actually so valuable. So if you manifest something and you show up and you work hard and you commit to it and you know what, it doesn't work out, that's fine because you tried. The message that I want you to take from this episode is do not internalize that as a failure, because it's hard enough anyway going after your dreams. It's hard enough anyway when things don't work out, and then you add that layer of like toxic manifestation on top of it, of like, it always works out, and you know, the universe will always give you the things that you need. And if it doesn't work out, then you need to just look at yourself and what you're not doing. So you've got this. Try, because I also say a life with regret is not a life worth living. So just go out there and try your best, and just know that sometimes it might not work out, and that's fine. And also know that the situations in your life that are happening and do feel difficult, you do not manifest every single one of them. That's just what I want to say. So what I do want to add though is like your thoughts and stuff do have a massive impact. So if you are really struggling with something like in business, or let's say with your body image, and you know your thoughts are the same and you're not really doing anything to change, or you're not really surrounding yourself with like-minded people, or just like really committing on that mindset work, well then your mindset will continue to create situations. Your mindset will continue to perpetuate situations, but there's some situations that we have no control over, because that is just life, my love. So I hope you did enjoy this podcast episode. It was a little bit different, but it was just like me expressing myself, I think, and just like expressing what's been on my mind, and just simply planting a seed. Like, that's all I wanted to do with this episode, was just to plant a seed for people to think about and hopefully take something from it and feel a little bit better. So as you know, the podcast competition is still on until next Sunday. So all you have to do is leave me a review in Apple Podcasts, a written review, and you will be with a chance to win a £200 Zara voucher and £300 cash, which is incredible. It was to celebrate the launch of season 2, to celebrate the beginning of 2022, all of the twos, all of the things, which I'm loving, love even numbers. So that is it, my loves. Please let me know how you found this episode. If you enjoyed it, let me know on Instagram if it like planted any seeds for you, if it was just something totally different, if it resonated. Please hit me up in the DMs and let me know, and share this with anybody who you think needs to hear it. And yes, I shall see you next week for another episode. Thank you so much for tuning in. I see you. I love you. Thank you so much for being here.